Alright, welcome everyone to a trailer discussion for Dishonored 2. Couple little hidden bits of information in here. I'm going to assume that you've already seen the trailer. If not, you should go do that now. I'll have a link in the description for you. Alright, so let's talk about the city. So it actually takes place in a new city this time around. It's actually called Karnaca, as opposed to the Dunwall we played in the last game. And already it seems very different. You can see that they have windmills set up. The first game relied extremely heavily on whale oil. Now I don't know if they've started to transition from whale oil to wind power, or if because it was a different city they just always used wind power. But you can actually see later on they do still use whale oil, just not as prevalent it seems. So it seems like there's a new type of enemy in the game, this one being fully robotic, which the first game didn't have a fully robotic enemy. It appears as though he is powered by whale oil, using those small canisters we saw on the guy's desk earlier. A couple things I actually noticed watching the fight between Emily and one of these robots. One being that she never actually strikes the robot with the sword. At no point does she actually swing the sword at it. She defends, but she never attacks. And I'm guessing that's because maybe you can't kill it with a sword, or even if you can, it's extremely difficult. She kills two of them, but each time it's with a mine or an explosive, which if it's powered by whale oil would make sense that you could kill it with an explosive. The second thing I noticed was actually that it had a face on the back of it. It had a face on the front where the head would be, where a face would be, but it also had a face on its back, and I'm wondering if maybe you can't sneak up on them. Maybe you can't come up behind them and stab them in the back, because they would notice you. Would be an interesting stealth mechanic for sure. And kind of on that point, you know that they're aware of their surroundings, because when she goes to shoot him with an arrow, one of them actually does attempt to block the shot. Of course, she's terrible and she missed anyway, but he had a pretty good chance of blocking that shot if her aim was on point. Also, it looks like the other one was just getting, I guess, refueled. Getting back to the city though, there's a scene where she crosses like a bridge. But it's not a pedestrian bridge, it actually looks like a track, similar to how the vehicles moved in the first game, and if you actually pause at the right moment you can see that it is electrified, so I guess, you know, they use a lot of power in the city. Probably the most interesting thing in the trailer was when they showed off, I'm guessing it's the replacement for the rats from the first game. In the first game they had a game mechanic where the more people you killed, the more rats would spawn in the city. And I'm guessing this is going to replace that. The more people you kill, the more of these flying bugs you get. But it also seems like they're going to tie it together a little better. In the first game you would kill people and then more rats would spawn, but you never physically saw the correlation. I'm hoping in this game you get a situation where you kill a guy and then you come back to that area 20 minutes later and now he's infested with this stuff. I would love to see that kind of thing, so you could physically see the death you create, adding these disgusting bugs to the city. So let's talk about story. It seems like they're going in a very, very similar direction to the first game. The voiceover at the beginning of the trailer basically says this.
It's happened again. Someone's pulled the rug out from under you. An empire at your feet, and you've lost it all. Be honest, did you really deserve any of it?
Now in the game you can actually play as either Corvo or Emily. You have to choose at the beginning and then stick with it. But I think that the outsider is actually speaking to Emily in this trailer. What he's saying technically could make sense with Corvo if you think about it, but I think it makes more sense with Emily, especially when you consider the fact that the game is supposed to be about someone who has been dishonored. And whoever the outsider is talking to, it kind of implies that that person has been dishonored at one point or another. Also, when the people get executed, on the wall it actually says the crown killer is watching. That can mean a couple of things. It could mean that someone has killed someone with a crown. So that could be Corvo, it could mean Emily has killed someone with a crown, which wouldn't really make sense because she's the queen. It could also mean that someone with a crown is killing, which implies that people kind of think that Emily is a killer, which I personally think that is what the graffiti means. And that is being reinforced by what the man says at the end of the trailer.
Strike. If you kill me, you become the assassin we claimed you were.
So someone claims that she is an assassin, and I guess the people believe that because of the graffiti on the wall, thus leading to her being dishonored. Right next to that piece of graffiti, there's actually another piece of graffiti that says, "Death to the Duke." Now we don't know who the Duke is. Could be the guy at the end of the trailer, maybe not, could even be an ally. We don't really know how the public sees Emily or sees Corvo or any of the other characters yet, because all the graffiti is really vague. We don't like the Duke. We know that. People don't like the Duke, but we don't know who that is, so. And one last piece of graffiti here. It says, "Howlers come at night." No one knows what the Howlers are, but I have a little guess. This is based on very little, but I have a guess that it's some kind of enemy that maybe riles up the bugs, due to the fact that they are the graffiti is positioned near the bugs, and you can actually see them, their hives all over the place. I'm guessing that, you know, someone comes up, they scream really loudly, and then suddenly you've got bugs up your ass. Just a guess. So let's talk about the guy at the end of the trailer. When he's sitting at his desk tinkering with a whole bunch of stuff, there's a picture behind him of Anton Sokolov, who from the first game designed all of the mechanical things in the world. It looks like this guy is doing the same. So is he an admirer or is he a descendant of Anton? I don't know. I'm willing to bet that he created the room that changes, and you can see there's different things in cases in that room, and most of them look like parts from the robotic enemies. I would love to see that room become a part of the actual game rather than just cutscenes. I'm really hoping that you get to actually play in those levels that change. That would be amazing. In the hallway, he does just go up and switch a lever to change the hallway into something else. So theoretically, Corvo or Emily could access those levers and just go up and switch it, and suddenly all those enemies that were in that room are getting squashed by the mechanics, or at least freaking out. One more thing about this character, he says something that I think is going to be more relevant than most people probably think it is.
Nothing is an accident. Everything is in motion. All of it has led you to this exact second in time.
So he briefly mentions time there, and I wonder if time is going to become more of a thing in this game. I mean, it's never really referenced in the last game, but maybe this guy has some way to tell the future. Maybe he has some way to predict people's movements. That's what it seems like to me. Of course, if he did have that ability, that power, I'm sure he would have used it to determine that he was about to die, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's limited. Maybe I'm just making things up. I don't know. So that's really it for story stuff for this trailer that I've found. As far as gameplay mechanics go, we do know that Emily has a different skill set from Corvo. She won't have Blink, she won't have Possession, she'll have new abilities, which we've seen Far Reach, which looks basically the same as Blink, with a couple differences, as well as whatever that weird smoky ability was. I'm guessing that's going to kind of replace Possession, giving you the ability to go through tight spaces and things like that. But I guess only time will tell. So that's pretty much all I got. So if I missed anything, go ahead and tell me in the comments. I really want to know, because I can't wait for this game to come out. It will come out in spring of 2016, and it will be available on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. So I'll see you guys next time.